Hello, everyone. Julian Leahy here. Welcome to the When It Worked podcast. Today, I'm joined by Amp Chansamuth in Sydney, and having a bit of a chat with Amp. Amp is doing something very interesting that not a lot of marketing type people or agencies are doing, and he is working with case studies, which provide something very unique in terms of content. Welcome to the show, Amp.
Good to be here, Julian. How's WA treating you?
Oh, it's fantastic, mate. It's a bit hot in February, but other than that, it's great.
Fantastic. No flooding over there, I suppose.
Fighting?
Flooding.
No flooding, no.
Oh, you're lucky.
No chance. Now, case studies, and for people that don't know, tell us what case studies are and how are they used in marketing?
So there's a really good quote that I'm going to share to kind of demonstrate what a case study is. Really, it's a type of an article or an asset that you could utilize to actually tell a story about what you do and how you do it, and really demonstrate proof that what you claim to do works, right? So you may have heard Donald Miller, a guy who wrote a book called Story Brand, and he's shares a really powerful quote. And it goes like this. He says that the customer is the hero of our brand's story, not us. When we position our customer as the hero and ourselves as their guide, we will be recognized as a sought after character to help them along their journey. And that's really encapsulates the power of a case study and a really good story for demonstrating, again, what you're able to do for your clients and the people that you support.
Interesting, because it sort of encapsulates a lot of the power of like you say, stories, but also it's also social proof, and it's somebody else having a good experience. So it's a detailed story which is engaging, which people remember, and it's social proof, and it's much more powerful than you telling people how great you are, which is what every other marketer seems to do.
Absolutely, and I want to touch on an episode that you recorded previously with Kim Hayden, which was why most people fail online. And in that episode, Kim talks about there's three things that we're looking for as marketers or potential buyers. We're looking for credibility, competence, and relevancy, right? And you need to establish those things really quickly in order to convert someone or to actually get people to move with you, to purchasing your products and services, right? And so, just as you just said now, Julian, really when you're selling, let's think about what are the three goals we're trying to achieve, right? We want to establish a credibility. We want to demonstrate that we have the expertise and the authority, right? Second thing is we want to build trust, and we want to do that quickly because they're also our prospective buyers are looking around at other suppliers, they're looking at other vendors, right? They're evaluating you against multiple different companies, right? So you want to set honest and clear expectations of what can happen in the next 90 days and really be upfront with that and say, this is what we can do for you and this is what we can't do for you. And then the third thing you want to do in that sales conversation, right, is to demonstrate leadership, right? And how do we do that? We do it by getting rid of anything that might create confusion or friction in that process, right? Anytime the buyer, like think about the last time you bought a car or a house, whatever it is, if you felt that the seller wasn't transparent or was hiding something from you, straight away your alarm bells go off and you go, show me some proof, right? Show me that what you're claiming to be the market value of this property in this area is correct. All right, show me comparable properties, because this is my real estate talk from years ago when I was in real estate. But you know what I mean. So a case study, a really compelling case study, can really answer all those questions very quickly.
Now, I know there will be some people out there thinking, well, I don't really have any clients yet. How am I going to do case studies? So this is not for everybody. So who is this for, and how are they implementing it into their marketing?
Great question. And I would challenge that assumption. I actually believe if you're starting up in 6 months' time or next month, whatever it is, the first thing you should be doing is getting case studies, right? You really need to go out there with a proposition and say, look, this is what we can do for your business. And then, in exchange for whether it's a discounted rate or even I'll do it for free, whatever it is, the way you want to go about that, your goal is to get 3 to 5 case studies up front, put that on a landing page, and then you start selling. Right? Because now when you go out, imagine if you go to a prospect or a lead and you say, hey, this is what I can do for you. And here's 3 case studies to prove that I can do it. right? Straight away, you've removed a lot of the objections of, hey, but you're a new company. We don't know if we can trust you. Can you deliver? All those sort of things. So if you're a startup, definitely something you should be looking at in the first, 6 months, 90 days, I would even say. For a more established business, case studies are much more powerful because typically they will have, so I usually work with $1 million plus revenue businesses in the services space and also in software, or what we call SaaS, right? So for them, they already have established sales funnels. They understand their product market fit. They know what they sell. They've already sold it before. So they're not trying to sell something that they know people will buy this. They already have a sales process in place, and they're really looking to amplify that process, right? And now they're looking at, okay, what are the different touch points? And I know you've covered this before, Julian. So you can look at, well, what are the different ways people find out about us, whether it's online, in person, banners on a highway, whatever it is that you do, right? And how can we really simplify that decision making that they're going to go through by really dropping in some great stories and evidence as they're doing the research phase, and definitely during the sales process.
Off the top of your head, can you give me an example of a case study that you've put together for somebody, what it was all about and what sort of results they experienced?
Absolutely. So this one I'm really particularly proud of. It's a case study where we worked with an accounting firm. They were shifting from sort of, they focused on online businesses, but during the pandemic, they did a pivot and they focused on e-commerce because they noticed what was happening with Shopify and all these other things were going on. And so they came to me and said, look, we want you to start interviewing our 1% of e-commerce clients that we actually have because we want to attract more of those type of clients. And so I did that. I booked in a call, 20-minute conversation with one of their clients, interviewed him. We put that, worked out what was it, what were the challenges, what were the pain points, what were the different things that were going on for him that made him invest, in this particular company. And then what did he think of the service after, he worked with them for a few months. We turned that into a long form article. I wouldn't even say that's long form. I'd say it's about 600 words. Put that up on the website. We had we had that tweeted out through the company's account, tagged the client in that tweet. The client picked it up a couple of hours later and saw it, retweeted it, and then one of his buddies saw that tweet, responded and read the case study and said, "This is exactly what I need." And he booked a call with the accounting firm, and within a week he was a client, right? This is, I will preface that that's not common, right? It doesn't always happen this way, but it just shows you the powerful, it gives you an example of what is possible when you can tell a compelling story and it's data driven. Like in that case study, there are specific key metrics that the buyer was looking for. Like, how much time would it save me if I hired this bookkeeping service? What are the steps involved, right? What are some, do they work with e-commerce businesses like mine, right? And the answer is, yes. And then that's what led him to book the call, which led to the sale.
Interesting. Like you said, making the customer the hero. So you tweet this case study, he sees it or she sees it, and they're immediately going to want to share that. And people that know them, leveraging their audience as well. Very, very, very clever. So how did you come to realize that this was a kind of pivot? So you've got a content business. When did you sort of realize that there was something here that I needed to pursue?
Yeah, so we've been running since 2015, June 2015. So I was a marketing manager for a national co-working company here in Australia, and then left, got married, and then at that point in time, thought, okay, what can I do really well? I can write articles, and that was something I was already doing in my role previously. And I love interviewing people. So I kind of put those two things together and just, I've offered a content writing service, which became a copywriting service. Now, when we got to 2019 and the pandemic started to hit, what I had realized and noticed were two things were happening in the market. One was a proliferation of content services and content agencies, right? Like you can, and coming from lower economies, they charge less, they do similar kind of work. There's the Fivers and Upworks, of course, right? And then the other thing that was happening was the introduction of AI technology. So artificial intelligence technology that's actually helps a lot of writers and editors to produce content relatively quickly. And that's another conversation for another day. But the reality is, we can, I would safely say within the next 5 years, most low-level junior writers will be replaced by technology, right? That's how good it is. Okay, so I was then thinking about, okay, I started to see we were losing clients to some of these things. And then I said, okay, well, what's going on and where can we really focus on value-driven content? And I really looked at, okay, where are the different places where, when businesses are using content that they see an ROI, okay? Because the biggest complaint with whether it's ads or copy or articles, whatever it is, always going to be, where do I see the return on the investment, right? And so it's in the sales process. So when someone is literally giving a case study over and saying during a proposal, right, they're handing a proposal saying this is going to cost you 10 grand or 20 grand for the package, and here's a case study that proves that we can deliver to a company just like yours, we see that conversion rate increase, right? Now, and that's where I kind of went, and a light bulb moment, and I just went, that's something I can do really well because I've been doing podcasts for over 10 years and I've been interviewing people. I've got all that experience, and then I've got also the understand copywriting and content writing and content strategy, put those things together, and it became a case study service.
Interesting. So you noticed that when you were doing a proposal that had a case study in it, it seemed to convert better. So I would love to know. I mean, it'd be hard because you wouldn't have the volume of data, but it would be great to know what kind of, if you did different campaigns and split tested and ones with case studies and ones without, what sort of stats you would find on that. But that sounds like it's something that would cost $1 million in advertising.
So I'm actually in the process of writing a book on just leveraging case studies for B2B. And as part of the research, I've interviewed companies like HubSpot, some of the agencies here in Australia, and also different software platforms in the US. These are multi-million-dollar companies. And I can tell you even just from the HubSpot interview, they have 800 case studies on their website. And
I was going to say, that's the first business I thought of when I was going to interview.
Yeah, and they publish. So they've worked out all their avatars, and they have multiples. And then within that, they target for each avatar, they're publishing 4 case studies a month, right? And it's tied into their customer service process and delivery process. So they actually have a customer support team that work with, or the client manager that works with each client and actually enables them and helps them to make sure they're using the software effectively, and then really tracking where do the sales conversions and all these things are happening. So they're very data driven, as you know. And so, as I was amazed, I just said, wow, like that's an incredible process. And a lot of small businesses, 1 or 2 people, or small teams under 10 can't do that. We don't have the capacity. And she just said, look, this is the marketing manager. She said, we didn't have that from the beginning, but you got to start off with just capturing stories on a regular basis, even if you do it as a quarterly process, and just make sure that, if you sell a promise, okay, make sure that you have stories that show that you deliver on that promise. And if you don't, okay, that gives you feedback to actually tweak your process. Like you got to go back and look at, well, where can we get those quick wins? Where can we help our clients get those conversions or leads or whatever it is they're looking for, and then work with them? Because you remember, like if you look at HubSpot, how much is their software worth? Like you're paying 20 grand a year, or I don't know what it is. So businesses paying that are looking for, hey, where's the ROI, right? And so they come back to their clients and go, hey, we can see based on your data and whatever, how much sales did you make in the last quarter? Oh, you've made 50 grand. Well, there you go. You've just paid. You've paid for our software already, right? So it's also a very strong retention tool, Julian. So that's the way they use it.
Yeah, right. Now, with businesses that you work for, you talked about how you need to have some sort of process that's going to allow them to collect these stories. So do you just sort of make them set up some sort of structure where they're ringing certain clients twice a year and getting the stories out?
Yeah, so I just did one with one of our clients where they actually asked me to help them implement that system. And the way that we set it up was we looked at your typical engagement. So, for their service, it usually takes about 3 months to get a result. And by the end of the 90 days, we automate an email that goes out to the client and says, hey, we're reaching the end of your 90 days. We'd love to book a call with you. Or not even that. The first email that goes out is a survey question, which is, as you might be aware of, the NPS survey, basically a link. They click on it. There's 2 questions. The first question is, from a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate our service? Or how likely are you to recommend us to a friend, right? And then once based on what they score, the next question is, why did you give us that score? right? And then anyone that the way that we set it up is anyone that scores an 8, 9, or 10, we automate an email that goes out to that client and says, thanks for giving us a rating. And, we can see that you're really happy with our service. We'd love to profile you, in front of our audience and let you and tell our audience about the amazing work that you're doing in your industry. Okay. Would you be interested in doing that 30-minute call? And 90%, I'd say 95% of the time, people say yes because they want that exposure. And then they jump on a call and Bob's your uncle.
Wow, that sounds great. Yeah. Really, really good automated process if you can do it. Now, the first port of call, you've got a 5-minute case study like training. How does that work, Am?
Yeah. So the first part with case studies, a common question I get is, well, if I'm thinking about case studies and starting to produce them, right? The questions are going to be who, how, and when, right? And then how am I going to promote them, right? So these are kind of the elements that in there. So in that training, you jump on that training, and it basically talks you through mapping out the strategy for your first case study, okay, and also consequent case studies, right? So there's a worksheet in there. You can jump in there. You can go through the process, and then you'll get very clear on. And it also ties to your own business objectives. So who's your ideal client? So I assume that you already worked that out. If you don't, you better do that first. And then that will help you then work out, okay, who should I be targeting first for a case study, right? And then once you've got that, then we've also got another PDF guide, which is our actual process and the framework that we use to craft a compelling case study, right? So there's a 7-step framework that I utilize for that, and you can go download that as well. And it's got all the templates in there that we use and we send to clients, and all those sort of things are in that download. You can go grab that. I've got a link for you as well if you want me to share that.
Well, I've got the simplecreativemarketing.com, and there's a link to the 5-minute training on your website. Is that a good way to go?
Yep, that's a good way to start. And I've also created a couple of bonuses for your listeners here. If you go to simplecreativemarketing.com/when it worked, on there you'll get the PDF guide and some other resources that you can access. Okay,
so just chuck when it worked on the end there, and that's good, mate. People love bonuses, don't they, Amp?
There you go. Got to give value.
Hey, you know what? Thanks, Amp, for coming on. I reckon that is, not often I see things that are new and I go immediately, this is powerful information. And this is one of those moments. So if you're out there and you are kind of, setting your profile up online, you need to look at case studies. I think this is something that sets people apart, and businesses like HubSpot just do millions of dollars in revenue based on case studies, and it's a very powerful technique. So I would recommend you head over to Amp's website and do this training, get the PDF and all of that. Well worth it. Thanks for coming on, Amp.
Appreciate the time, Julian.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in your funnel and check out some of your PDFs, I think.
No worries. Any questions at all, let me know.
Will do. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone, and listening. See you on another episode very soon.